Everyone, welcome to another video. So in this video I'll be explaining to you one of the more advanced concepts within MySQL. It's called as the correlated subquery. Now I've already explained to you in one of the earlier videos what a subquery means. Now a subquery is typically a query within a query. So whether you keep that query in the from clause, the select clause, or even the where clause, that query by itself can run. So what I mean by running by itself is that if you remove that query, if you remove that subquery and execute it in another part of your SQL program, it will give you an output. It will give you a valid output. However, a correlated subquery cannot run by itself. It needs the help of the outer query to run. For each row of the outer query, a correlated subquery would run once. So depending on how many rows you have of the outer query, that many times your correlated subquery would be running. So it directly depends on how many rows you have within the outer query. Now let me explain to you the example of a correlated subquery and how we can use that. So here we want to find out the list of all the films by title that have a higher rental rate than the average in each rating category. For this, we'll just be requiring one table. So I will just use the film table for this. So let me quickly have a look at the contents of this. So as you can see, just this just has the film ID, the title. It also, I believe, has the rating here. So there you go. It has the rental rate and also the rating of the film. So the film can be rated as PG, parental guidance, the general rating. It has PG-13, NC-17, R-rated, etc., etc. So by each of these categories, we want to basically find what is the average rental rate, and then we try to only output the films which have a higher rental rate than the average in each category. So this is like a typical example where we would be requiring a correlated subquery. So let me show you how we can use that. So let me quickly name this film or give it a table alias as F1. So here what we want to do is basically we want to find all the films which have a rental rate which is greater than the average rental rate. So we select everything from the film table where your rental rate is greater than your average rental rate. So we would do a select average rental rate here, and we will again use the table of film. So so what I'm doing here is basically I'm using a where clause over here, and just as we speak regular English, say that the rental rate is greater than the average rental rate. We are just using it in programmatic language here. We are saying that the rental rate is greater than select average rental rate from film where. Now what we want is we want the rating of your inner table here to be same as the rating of your outer film. So your rating of your inner film would be F2.rating, and that should be equal to the rating of your outer film. So that would be F1.rating. So what this would do is it would simply match the rating of the inner table with the rating of the outer table. And so what this means is that for each category, so whether it's PG or general or G, for each of the categories, it will take the average rental rate here. And whenever your rental rate of the films in your outer table is greater than the average rental rate for that particular category. So why I'm saying that particular rating category is because we've used this criteria here. So whenever the rental rate is greater than the average rental rate for that category, those particular rows will be output as your or in your final output. So if we run this, well, if you want, we can just include the films that we want, so, or rather the columns that we want. So if we execute this, you'll find that all the films which have a rating which is, or rather a rental rate which is greater than the average rental rate for each rating category, only that film will be shown. If you still want to confirm whether these are indeed the actual films, so for example, here you'll see all the films that have either a rental rate of 2.99 or 4.99 depending on the category, of course. So you do not see a 99-cent film over here because there were only 3 rental rates. If you remember, there was one 4.99, there was a 2.99, and there was a 99-cent film. So the fact that you do not see a 99-cent film here, it means that your calculations are right. But even then, if you quickly want to have a look at, say, the average rental rate for each category, you would just do like an average rental rate, say from the film table, and say we group by the rating. So if we run this, you'll find that so let me just put this as, let me put the average rental rate first. So I'll just use this over here, and let's say we order this by the average rental rate. So if we order this by the average rental rate and descending order, we'll find that you have PG, PG-13, and then NC-17 R-rated, and the general category film coming in at the last. So obviously a PG film, a film which has like parental guidances, has the maximum rental rate over here, and it has about 3.09. So all the films in the PG category which have a rental rate of 3.05 or above will be shown in this table. Similarly, for PG-13, all the films which have a rental rate of 3.03 and above will be shown in this particular output of this query. So if I run this again, you see that PG-13, since it had, so say for example, you take this film, Airplane Sierra, this has a rental rate of 4.99. There you saw that the average was about 3.05 or around that. So you will not see any film in the PG-13 category, at least, which will be below a 4.99 rental rate, because there are only 3 rental rates for available: 4.99, 2.99, and a 99-cent. So if the average is 3.05, you should only see a rental rate above that, which is 4.99. So for PG-13, all you see is 4.99, or all you should see is 4.99, and I think a cursory glance at this would kind of confirm that fact. So I think we should be good to go. So in short, what this means is, for each of the rows within the Sakila.film table, this particular criteria is checked, whether the rental rate is greater than the average rental rate, in this case for each of the rating categories. If this condition is satisfied, then that row is printed. If not, it simply goes on to the next iteration. And if that condition is satisfied, it again prints it out. It's not satisfied, goes into the next iteration. So if you're aware of any programming language, this basically means you're using like a for loop, and within that for loop, you're basically saying that if this particular criteria is met, you execute this, or else continue. So it basically continues on with the next iteration. So I hope you've learned what correlated subqueries are, and see you in the next video.